What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's start with MMA Community ROASTS UFC main event. There was an underwhelming reaction to say the least this week when the UFC revealed the main event for their upcoming fight night in St. Louis. It was revealed that Derek Lewis will square off against Rodrigo Nascimento in the heavyweight division when the show takes place on May 11th. And the news hasn't exactly been met with much enthusiasm by fans. Fans tweeted their disappointment to the announcement. Of all people, they thought it'd be good to give Derek Lewis, of all people, 5 rounds again? It's disrespectful to the cities that pay for the event to have this as the headliner. Forget people watching at home, new fans buying tickets for the event deserve better. Haha, holy f***, this might be the worst one yet. They actually want their own promotion to die. Holy f***, this is bad. They legit aren't even trying. With this fight night being a rare non-pay-per-view card in front of a live crowd, it seems fans were certainly hoping for a main event with a little more star power. While both Lewis and Nascimento are both ranked in the top 15 of the heavyweight division, the reaction to this news has been overwhelmingly negative. In other news this week, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler in jeopardy? The rumored bout between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler seems to still be hanging in the air. For many fans, they won't be convinced this fight is actually happening until they see the pair trading blows inside the octagon. The two were announced as coaches on The Ultimate Fighter Season 31 more than a year ago, and even though McGregor has gone as far as to announce the fight himself on more than one occasion, the lack of any official confirmation from the UFC means we are still waiting to see them fight. UFC President Dana White has repeatedly stated that they wanted to wait until McGregor had completed his promotional work for his movie Roadhouse before even entertaining the idea of setting a date for the Irishman to fight. With that roadblock now seemingly out of the way, and McGregor insisting during his recent appearance on the MMA Hour that he will fight Chandler this summer, it seems we're edging closer to the official announcement we've been waiting for. Former middleweight contender Chael Sonnen, however, believes that Chandler is still in a rather precarious position when it comes to contract negotiations for this bout, and that McGregor still holds all the cards. While speaking on his YouTube channel recently, he advised Chandler to tread cautiously and be careful of what requests he puts forward.
And it becomes a very peculiar spot, more so for Chandler, because he's not trying to troll you. He's trying to get the fight. Chandler's in a very fine position here, that if he were to come out and make any type of demand, it could cost him the match. And if Chandler was to come out and just say this has got to be at 170 pounds, if he was to just lock in on anything, it would be a way out for McGregor to go, well, I wanted to do the whole thing, but now he's being silly. Guys used to do this in the 90s.
Chandler hasn't been seen in action since he lost to Dustin Poirier at UFC 281 back in November of 2022. McGregor's last appearance was also against Poirier, almost 3 years ago. It's easy to see why both fighters are so eager to get back inside the octagon. On a more lighthearted note, Islam Makhachev gets disrespected in interview. UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev is widely regarded as one of the most dangerous fighters in the world today. The pound-for-pound #1 is on a 13-fight win streak that has seen him capture the 155-pound belt and subsequently defended twice in super fights against featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski. These credentials didn't seem to intimidate bantamweight prospect Peyton Talbot, as the Dana White's Contender Series alumni was playing a tongue-in-cheek version of the popular game Guess Who with the host during his recent appearance on the Parry Punch podcast. While asking questions to try to guess which popular fighter the host had on her card, Talbot inquired about said fighter's bedroom skills.
Do you think your fighter would be good in bed or average?
I'd say good, probably. Gives
Good.
those vibes.
Okay.
After hearing her reply, Talbot immediately crossed Makhachev off his list of possible answers. For Talbot's sake, it's probably best if Islam doesn't watch this particular interview. Switching to a slightly more serious topic now, UFC fighter in $5 million debt. In the not-too-distant past, James Krause's coaching career seemed to be on an impressive upward trajectory. He built a strong team at Glory MMA, and fighters were flocking to the Midwest in droves to work with him. In 2022, he became the subject of one of the most shocking scandals within the sport, when an investigation was launched into a dramatic shift in betting lines right before one of his fighters, Derek Minner, lost a bout to Shailan Nerdenbecki. Amidst the scandal, many sportsbooks decided to remove the UFC from their roster, and the promotion acted fast to distance themselves from Krause and everyone involved. They released Minner and effectively ended Krause's coaching career by announcing that anybody who associated with him would be banned from competing in the UFC. Krause was forced to sell his stake in his Glory MMA gym, and he remains suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, along with Minner and UFC fighter Jeff Molina. It seems he's pivoted into the real estate business, however, and has resurfaced on social media this week to discuss his views on business and finance. In a post on his Facebook account, he explains how he's seemingly not losing any sleep over being in over $5 million of debt, and is offering his coaching services to budding real estate entrepreneurs. The investigation into Krause's conduct within the sport is ongoing, and there's no indication yet as to when it could be concluded. He is not allowed to have any involvement in anything combat sports related, and he could potentially face financial or criminal penalties as a result of the betting scandal. Looking back at some controversy from the latest UFC fight night, Chris Weidman under fire for cheating. The All-American Chris Weidman finally got back into the win column after snapping his 3-fight skid against Bruno Silva this week, but it wasn't without a healthy dose of controversy. Referee Gary Copeland stepped in and stopped the fight at 2 minutes and 18 seconds of the third round, after Silva went down clutching his face in the middle of a striking exchange with Weidman. The New Yorker hopped out of the cage to celebrate, but Silva protested loudly that he had been eye-poked, and multiple replays confirmed this had happened not once but twice during the initial exchange. Despite Silva's protests, the fight was announced as a TKO victory for Weidman. The New Jersey State Athletic Control Board then reviewed the replays and then decided the fight should go to the scorecards instead. With Weidman 20-18 up on all cards after 2 rounds and winning the third until the fouls landed, he was ultimately declared the winner by unanimous decision. Silva has announced that he plans to appeal the decision. He said, "We think it's hard for Chris Weidman to accept the rematch, but the no contest would be fair. Let's see what the UFC does. I just want things done the right way, the fair way. I went there and fought, and you didn't see any malice from my part." Weidman wasn't feeling very charitable while speaking to the press afterwards, and feels that Silva was at least partially to blame. Staying on the topic of the Weidman vs. Silva eye poke controversy, Justin Gaethje slams UFC over gloves. Almost everybody who watched Silva lose to Weidman will have felt sorry for him, and the result of the bout certainly drummed up a lot of debate online in the immediate aftermath. One of the most notable comments came from the current BMF champion, Justin the Highlight Gaethje. He tweeted after the fight, "Too bad UFC don't want to change those gloves." This drew plenty of criticism from fans who accused Gaethje of having an ulterior motive, trying to market his own brand of gloves. Gaethje was quick to respond. "Doesn't have to be our gloves, just needs to be better gloves. These gloves force you into a bad position when your hand is relaxed. They cut the circulation off to the fingers. They put so much pressure on the hand between the fingers." The fan in question was most likely referring to the ONX MMA glove invented by Gaethje's longtime coach Trevor Wittman. Wittman brought his creation to the attention of the UFC, who approved of his product, but both parties have reached an impasse over ownership of the patent. It seems this won't be the last eye poke scandal we'll see in the UFC octagon. In other news this week, Kevin Holland gets disrespected. Kevin Holland famously went on a 5-fight win streak through 2020, with one of those wins being a knockout victory over Joaquin Buckley. Trailblazer finished Buckley in the second round of their bout in August of that year, and New Mansa has been campaigning hard for a rematch ever since. After Buckley picked up an impressive win over Vicente Luque this past weekend, which will likely catapult him into the welterweight rankings, he revealed he's no longer interested in that matchup after Holland was beaten by Michael Venom Page at UFC 299 last month.
I don't want it back no more. He lost the MVP. Damn, po child, he messed up the money. Like I said, I was hunting him down the whole time, and I was trying to get the opportunity. He didn't want to give it to me, so now we just looking forward.
Buckley was unranked coming into this latest bout, while his opponent, Luque, sat at number 11, 3 places above Holland. When the updated listings emerged this week, it's likely that Buckley will sit above Holland, and may have his heights set a little higher when it comes to picking his next fight. Buckley first came to mainstream prominence with his viral knockout victory over Impa Kasanganay back in 2020. He is now on a 3-fight win streak after dispatching of Andre Fialho, Alex Morono, and Vicente Luque, and will be hoping to use that momentum to continue on his upward trajectory through the 170-pound division. Could we see him square off against 10th-ranked Jeff Neal next? Joe Rogan reacts to UFC fighter getting suspended for PEDs for 4 years. It was reported last week that UFC fighter Walt Harris received a 4-year ban from the UFC, and at 40 years old is almost guaranteed to be a career-ending suspension. Here's what Rogan had to say about the situation.
They just popped one of the UFC
Oh my
guys.
God,
Walt
10
Harris got
years.
4 years.
4 years.
4 years. And he's 40. So that's essentially a career ender.
Okay,
But when
so-
you're 40, dude, in your fighting and you're training every day, you're doing 2-a-days and 3-a-days, like, bro, your testosterone gets beat down. Your system gets beat down. You're putting a tax on your system that's very hard to deal with at that age.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's a big difference. You get a guy who's 22 years old and you put him through a fight camp, that's a guy who can recover. As long as he's doing the right things, he's eating right and he's sleeping right and he's hydrating right, he can recover. You can get through the camp. It's hard. I mean, a real fight camp for MMA is one of the most difficult endeavors in all of professional sports. You have to fight 5 rounds, 25 minutes of actual fighting in a championship level fight. And you're getting kicked and punched and wrestled and you're getting taken down. You're trying to get back up. The exertion level is so insane.
Paulo Costa reveals his next UFC fight after a fan tweeted at him saying, "Paulo, are you going to fight Redneck Strickland next? Or perhaps Dolice in Brazil 301? Paulo responded to the fan and said, "They said Cannonier. So we'll most likely see Jared Cannonier versus Paulo Costa on the cards in the near future." What do you think of this matchup? Let us know in the comments below. Top comments. Hoping Max proves everyone wrong. I'm always worried when people fight Gaethje, but give Max his credit. He's a high-level fighter. Both shouldn't be on the main card. Should be the main event for the prelims. How is it that 2 unranked fighters are on a main card when every other fight has ranked fighters? Doesn't make much sense. I really want Bo Nickel to get humbled soon. He's just way too arrogant. Bah, Bo Nickel versus Hamzat should have been the Saudi super fight. Grr. Money. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.